Former Marine Staff Sergeant Anthony "Tony" Williams was enjoying his first winter outing since receiving his new prosthetic legs when he decided to walk across what appeared to be solid ice on Lake Minnetonka, not realizing that unseasonably warm weather had created dangerous thin spots that couldn't support the weight of a 200-pound man using titanium prosthetics that distributed pressure differently than natural limbs. Tony had lost both legs below the knee to an IED explosion during his final patrol in Afghanistan, and while he had worked tirelessly with VA rehabilitation specialists to regain mobility and independence, his prosthetic legs made activities like ice navigation more challenging due to reduced sensation and balance feedback that natural limbs provided. The ice gave way beneath him without warning, plunging Tony into frigid water where his prosthetic legs became waterlogged and heavy, making swimming virtually impossible while hypothermia began affecting his coordination and judgment within minutes of submersion. But Kodiak, Tony's specially trained mobility assistance dog who had been walking safely on shore, immediately recognized that his veteran was in life-threatening danger and launched into ice rescue protocols that his training had prepared him for when disabled veterans faced emergencies that their physical limitations made impossible to escape independently. For 23 minutes in freezing water that would have been fatal for anyone without immediate help, Kodiak used his size, strength, and specialized training to keep Tony above water and pull him to safety when conventional rescue methods weren't available and when every minute of delay increased the likelihood that hypothermia would claim another veteran's life. Welcome to Saved by Tales. Before we dive into this gripping story of adaptive courage meeting winter emergency and a service dog's determination to overcome physical obstacles that threatened his veteran's survival, join our community of animal hero enthusiasts who understand that some rescues require four-legged partners whose training can compensate for disabilities that military service has left behind, and whose loyalty never calculates the personal risk of saving those who have already sacrificed so much. Staff Sergeant Tony Williams had rebuilt his life around adaptive equipment and determination after losing both legs to an IED during his third deployment in Afghanistan, refusing to let his injuries define his capabilities or limit his outdoor activities. Tony has approached his recovery with the same intensity he brought to military service, his prosthetist, Dr. Sarah Martinez, often observed. His commitment to regaining full mobility has been remarkable, but winter conditions pose unique challenges for amputees. Tony's prosthetic legs were state-of-the-art titanium devices that provided excellent mobility on stable surfaces, but ice and snow created conditions where balance and traction became more challenging than with natural limbs. Kodiak, a 4-year-old Newfoundland, had been specially trained as a mobility assistance dog with additional capabilities for water rescue operations, making him uniquely qualified to support Tony's active lifestyle, including winter outdoor activities. Kodiak isn't just Tony's mobility support, explained service dog trainer Dr. Jennifer Walsh. His size and water rescue training provide backup safety for Tony's outdoor adventures where his prosthetics might create additional risks. Tony's decision to explore Lake Minnetonka during his first major winter outing since receiving his new prosthetic legs was part of his ongoing recovery process and determination to maintain the active lifestyle he had enjoyed before his combat injuries. "I refuse to let my injuries keep me inside," Tony had told his VA counselor during rehabilitation sessions. "If I can't do the things I love, then the IED that took my legs wins the war." The lake appeared to have solid ice coverage that had been safe for other winter activities, but Tony's prosthetic legs created different weight distribution patterns than natural limbs, potentially affecting how ice responded to pressure. Kodiak had been trained to assess environmental hazards and provide warnings when conditions might pose risks to veterans with mobility limitations, but ice assessment was challenging even for trained animals. "I trusted the ice conditions and thought Kodiak's presence would provide extra safety if anything went wrong," Tony would later reflect, "but I underestimated how quickly things could become life-threatening." The ice collapse beneath Tony was sudden and complete, sending him into frigid water that immediately began affecting his core temperature while his prosthetic legs became waterlogged and heavy, making normal swimming techniques impossible. "The water was so cold it knocked the breath out of me," Tony would later describe to his rescuers, "and my prosthetics filled with water instantly, making it impossible to kick effectively or maintain normal swimming form." Tony's military survival training provided some advantages for water emergencies, but his prosthetic legs created new challenges that his previous training hadn't anticipated or addressed during combat preparation. Kodiak's response to Tony's emergency was immediate and professional, using water rescue training that had prepared him specifically for situations where people with disabilities faced drowning risks that exceeded their ability to self-rescue. The Newfoundland's assessment of the emergency was rapid and accurate, recognizing that Tony's prosthetic legs and the ice conditions created a rescue scenario that required immediate intervention to prevent fatal hypothermia. Kodiak's entry into the frigid lake demonstrated the specialized water rescue capabilities that made Newfoundland's legendary for saving drowning victims in conditions that challenged even experienced human rescuers. Kodiak didn't hesitate for a second, Tony recalled with gratitude. He hit that freezing water and swam straight to me like he had been training for exactly this situation his entire life. The Newfoundland's approach to Tony was systematic and professional, using techniques designed to provide flotation support without creating additional risks for either rescuer or victim during ice water emergencies. Kodiak's powerful swimming ability allowed him to maintain stability in the frigid water while providing physical support that helped keep Tony's head above surface when his waterlogged prosthetics made independent floating virtually impossible. "Kodiak became my life preserver," Tony observed. "His size and strength gave me something to hold onto, while the cold water was sapping my strength and coordination." Kodiak's water rescue training included techniques for helping victims reach safety, but the ice conditions around the hole made extraction more complex than normal water rescue scenarios due to the unstable ice edges. The Newfoundland's intelligence and problem-solving abilities became crucial as he assessed different approaches to getting Tony out of the water without causing additional ice collapse that could worsen the emergency. Kodiak was making decisions about the safest route to shore. Tony noticed even through his hypothermic condition. He wasn't just pulling me randomly, he was choosing the path that would give us the best chance of success. Kodiak's strength and endurance were tested as he provided pulling power that could help Tony navigate toward more stable ice while supporting his weight during the extended rescue operation. The specialized harness system that Tony used with Kodiak became crucial equipment during the rescue, providing secure connection points that allowed the Newfoundland to apply maximum pulling force without losing grip. As Tony's time in the frigid water extended beyond 10 minutes, hypothermia began affecting his coordination and decision-making abilities, making him increasingly dependent on Kodiak's guidance and physical support. "I started getting confused and disoriented from the cold," Tony admitted. "My thinking became fuzzy, and I couldn't make good decisions about which way to go or how to help myself." Kodiak's training included recognition of hypothermia symptoms and adjustment of rescue techniques to accommodate victims whose condition was deteriorating due to cold water exposure. The Newfoundland's body heat and protective positioning provided some thermal protection for Tony while maintaining the physical support needed to prevent drowning during the extended rescue operation. "Kodiak seemed to understand that I was getting weaker," Tony observed. "He adjusted his positioning to provide more support as my condition got worse from the cold exposure." After nearly 20 minutes of systematic rescue efforts, Kodiak successfully guided Tony to an area where the ice was stable enough to support extraction from the water without creating additional collapse risks. "Kodiak found solid ice that could hold my weight even with the prosthetics," Tony recalled with amazement. He had been testing different areas and finally found the right spot for getting me out safely. The Newfoundland's pulling power was crucial for Tony's extraction, providing the mechanical advantage needed to overcome the weight of waterlogged prosthetics and the reduced strength from hypothermia exposure. Kodiak's positioning during the extraction included techniques for distributing weight that prevented additional ice failure while providing maximum assistance for Tony's emergence from the frigid water. "Getting out of that water felt like being reborn," Tony reflected. "Kodiak's strength literally pulled me back from what could have been a fatal situation." Once Tony was extracted from the water, Kodiak's training continued with hypothermia management techniques designed to help maintain his veteran's core temperature until professional medical help could arrive. "Kodiak immediately started providing body heat," Tony observed. "He positioned himself against me and used his fur and body warmth to help prevent my condition from getting worse." The Newfoundland's protective behavior included staying close to Tony while scanning the environment for additional help or resources that could enhance their survival during the emergency. Kodiak's training in emergency signaling helped attract attention from other lake visitors who could provide assistance and contact emergency services for professional medical intervention. Kodiak's barking brought help, Tony noted. People heard him and came to investigate, which got me the medical attention I needed for the hypothermia. Emergency responders who arrived at Lake Minnetonka found Tony suffering from moderate hypothermia and exhaustion, but alive and conscious thanks to Kodiak's rescue efforts and continued thermal support. Tony's core temperature was dangerously low when we found him, reported paramedic Dr. Lisa Chen. Without his dog's intervention, this would have been a recovery operation rather than a rescue. Both Tony and Kodiak required medical evaluation for cold exposure, but their conditions were stable and showed no signs of serious complications from their extended exposure to freezing conditions. Kodiak's condition was remarkable considering what he had done, observed veterinarian Dr. Robert Kim. His conditioning and training helped him perform an extraordinary rescue while maintaining his own safety. Tony's prosthetic legs required professional servicing after their submersion in lake water, but the devices had functioned adequately during the emergency and hadn't suffered permanent damage. Tony's recovery from the hypothermia and psychological impact of the near-drowning experience was aided by Kodiak's continued presence and the shared nature of their survival experience. Kodiak and I went through that together, Tony reflected during medical evaluations. He risked his life to save mine, and that kind of loyalty creates a bond that goes beyond normal service dog relationships. The incident led to enhanced safety protocols for Tony's winter activities and improved emergency equipment that could prevent similar situations in the future. We've developed better safety procedures based on what we learned from this emergency, noted Dr. Martinez. Tony's experience has helped us improve support for other amputee veterans who want to maintain active lifestyles. Kodiak's performance during the rescue led to additional recognition of his capabilities and enhanced training opportunities for other mobility assistance dogs. Tony's near-death experience brought his family together around appreciation for both his survival and Kodiak's life-saving intervention, creating deeper understanding of the importance of their partnership. "We almost lost Tony that day," his wife Maria Williams said emotionally. "Kodiak gave us back our husband and father by refusing to let him drown in that lake." The family's gratitude toward Kodiak was profound and permanent, understanding that the Newfoundland had prevented what could have been a tragic outcome for their entire family. "Kodiak is our hero," their 8-year-old daughter Sophia would tell classmates. "He saved my daddy from drowning and brought him home to us." Kodiak's ice rescue became a landmark case for mobility assistance dog training programs, demonstrating capabilities that exceeded standard service dog duties to include actual life-saving water rescue operations. Kodiak's performance represents the highest level of mobility assistance dog training, explained service dog specialist Dr. Amanda Foster. His rescue techniques saved Tony's life when conventional safety measures failed. The rescue was featured in service dog training curricula and disability advocacy programs that highlighted the life-saving potential of specialized animal partnerships for veterans with significant physical disabilities. Kodiak's rescue shows us what's possible when service dogs receive comprehensive training that goes beyond basic mobility assistance, noted trainer Dr. Walsh. Tony and Kodiak's experience led to enhanced winter safety education for disabled veterans and improved protocols for outdoor activities that could pose additional risks for people with prosthetic limbs. Our experience shows that disabled veterans can live active lives, but we need to be smart about safety and have backup systems when our disabilities create additional risks, Tony explained during speaking engagements. Their story was featured in veteran disability advocacy and winter safety education programs that emphasized both independence and appropriate precautionary measures. 2 years after Kodiak's ice rescue, Tony continued his outdoor activity with enhanced safety equipment and improved understanding of how his prosthetic legs affected his interaction with challenging environments. "Kodiak gave me my life back by saving it that day," Tony reflected. "He proved that I can still do the things I love, but I need to be smarter about safety and always have him with me as my backup system." Their story continued to inspire enhanced support systems for disabled veterans and recognition of the remarkable capabilities of properly trained service dogs whose skills could literally mean the difference between life and death. Kodiak had proven that some partnerships go beyond assistance to become literal lifelines when physical disabilities and environmental challenges combine to create situations that require four-legged heroes whose training and loyalty can overcome obstacles that would defeat conventional safety measures. I still think about that Minnesota winter day when a decorated Marine walked onto lake ice that looked solid but couldn't support the unique weight distribution of titanium prosthetics, sending him into frigid water where his artificial legs became anchors that threatened to drag him down while hypothermia began shutting down his body's ability to fight for survival. If Kodiak had prioritized his own safety on shore, if he'd lacked the specialized water rescue training to navigate ice conditions, if he'd been anything less than a professional who understood that some veterans need their service dogs to become their lifeguards when disabilities and environmental hazards combine to create deadly situations, Tony Williams would have died in that lake while his family waited at home for a hero who would never walk through their door again. Kodiak's story teaches us something profound about the specialized partnerships that exist between disabled veterans and service dogs whose training goes far beyond basic assistance to become actual life-saving capabilities when physical limitations and challenging environments create perfect storms that threaten those who have already sacrificed so much in service to their country.